Hello, welcome. I'm Kasia Madeira. The US, the UK and Australia say that they're developing a new generation of unmanned undersea vehicles, effectively drone submarines, as part of the AUKUS defence partnership. The announcement came after ministers from the three countries met on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. It's Asia's biggest defence forum. They said that the project would help strengthen security and deterrence across the Indo-Pacific and beyond.
Today, we're pleased to announce the first AUKUS Pillar 2 signature project, focused on fielding advanced uncrewed undersea vehicles, or UUVs. And I want to thank these two gentlemen for their leadership in ensuring we stayed on track with Pillar 2 and found something critical to all three of our countries. The signature project will deliver a suite of highly adaptable, multi-mission UUV payloads designed to support undersea operations and maintain our collective advantage in the maritime domain. The United States, as we've said from the beginning, and we think the review we undertook only strengthened this partnership, remains committed to the AUKUS partnership and is moving as quickly as possible to enhance our combined submarine presence in the Pacific region.
This will rapidly give our forces the very most advanced battlefield technologies, as together we produce a range of cutting-edge sensors and weapons systems for undersea drones. This will give us the ability to detect, to deter, and to deal with threats, including to our underwater cables and pipelines on which so much of our daily life depends. This is backed by the very best of the defence industry and innovations in all three nations. And I'm backing it now with more than £150 million of British money from the government.
So, John Healy there. Previously, we heard from Pete Hegseth, also standing alongside them, Richard Miles of Australia. Let's cross over to Singapore because Suranjana Tawari was monitoring all of this for us. So, Suranjana, we heard that announcement, this project that this trilateral partnership is developing.
That's right, and quite a significant step forward for the AUKUS alliance. You'll remember that it was formed between Australia, the UK and the US back in 2021. And it has been criticised for not actually delivering much. It was formed to try and counter China's rising influence in the Indo-Pacific, but actually the UK Defence Secretary in those comments addressed that and said that the alliance for too long has promised a lot and not delivered enough. And so with this announcement of these underwater drones, it's hoping that it's what's called its second pillar, its technology pillar, which really looks at those types of attacks to things like undersea cables, which of course the world's internet and the world's artificial intelligence relies on. These kinds of systems, these weapon systems, would protect people across Australia, the UK and the US from those types of attacks. John Healy also said that it's really important that security in this region, in the Indo-Pacific, it's really important for people back in the UK at home, in the US at home, and of course Australians as well. So a significant development in that respect. Submarines were also mentioned, which of course is the first pillar of the AUKUS alliance, and they are expecting that US forces will be going on rotation to Australia by 2027 as part of that section of the project.
And also a concern expressed regarding China. China not present there.
That's right. This is the AUKUS meeting happened on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue, which is Asia's premier defence summit. It's usually an opportunity for the US and China to come together with other regional partners and allies to discuss the security situation and what might be able to be done together in order to try and combat, forces, other forces. But for the second year in a row, the Chinese are not sending their defence minister. Now, US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth did address that earlier today in his speech to the forum. He said that, he called on all Asian partners and allies to increase their defence spending to try and counter the military buildup of China. But he also extended an olive branch, saying that US-China relations are better than they have been in years, and actually President Trump's recent visit to Beijing really helped that, and they're really working on military-to-military communication. He also sort of alluded to the end of the Iran war, saying that even though we're hearing that a deal is close, that if necessary, the US has enough weapons stockpile to restart military operations, but again, stressed that that would only take place if it was absolutely necessary.
Suranjana, to you and the team, many thanks. We'll come back to you throughout the day. Suranjana Tawari there in Singapore. Now, Matthew Sussex is Associate Professor at the Australian National University, and a short while ago he explained the significance of the AUKUS announcement of these unmanned undersea drones.
Typically, the AUKUS partnership is viewed as a bit of an arms deal, frankly, between the UK, the US and Australia, whereby Australia will end up with some American nuclear-powered submarines and then ultimately a joint design submarine project between the UK and Australia, an upgrade of the Astute-class submarine. And that's widely referred to as Pillar 1 of AUKUS. What this announcement is here is about Pillar 2. And Pillar 2 of AUKUS is about cooperation between the UK, US and Australia on advanced technology, which includes things like quantum, but also includes things like this announcement today on uncrewed undersea vehicles, so effectively drone submarines. And the aim here is to boost the ability of Britain, of America and Australia to be able to field undersea submarines without necessarily having to put crews on them, which means that you can develop a rather large amount of them and deploy a lot of them. And that's important for the security of all those three nations, whether it be in the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, or of course around the UK.
And it was interesting to hear Pete Hegseth lash out at various Asian nations, Japan, for example, of not pulling their weight. He's got form on that. Of course, he's done it in Europe. So it feels like the US once again just underlining that other nations need to do more because the US is no longer the world's policeman.
Look, that's perfectly accurate. I think that Hegseth has been banging the drum in Europe, encouraging and imploring and demanding that NATO countries spend more on defence. He's now done this in Asia and said that 3.5% of GDP is the baseline that the United States expects. He says that the US doesn't want protectorates, it wants partners. And by definition, he says that means you need to be spending more on your defence. That's likely not to go down very well in Japan. And it's also likely not to go down too well in other countries like Australia, the Philippines, which also have bilateral security agreements with the United States. Because quite frankly, those nations have other things other commitments to realise and don't necessarily want to spend so much on their defence infrastructure that they are beholden to the United States in terms of what the US decides to do in relation to its confrontation with China.
Professor Matthew Sussex there from the Australian National University. Our thanks to him for his expertise.